Good afternoon. May the Lord give you his peace. Amen. We're all a little tired. It was such a great weekend here. Anyone here over the weekend? Ooh, wow. So my friends, on this Monday, as so often happens on a quiet little Monday, we have tremendous readings here at Mass, and it's so interesting. So Genesis 28, we're hearing the story of the Patriarchs, and Jacob has his famous dream, Jacob's ladder, Jacob's stairway, and what is this all about? I'm going to connect a few dots with something that's happening in the gospel here. So on the one hand, what we're seeing here is that Jacob becomes the heir of this lineage of blessing. God had made promises and blessings starting with the patriarch Abraham, and now that's going to pass down through that lineage. Abraham, all the way through Isaac, then Jacob, Israel, and then the 12 tribes of Israel, and develops what we eventually will call the people of God. And he has this dream of this stairway. So the word here in Hebrew really is stairway, not ladder, although sometimes it's translated ladder. And a couple of things are happening. So first of all, this is somehow reminiscent of an earlier story in the book of Genesis when, in rebellion against God, they had built the tower at Babel. So they had built this tower, as many people did throughout the world. You would build basically like a pyramid, like a man-made mountain. These mountains were always very spiritual, like you're higher up, you're closer to heaven, you're closer to God. But the problem was they had built it saying, well, we're going to climb up to God ourselves. So there was a little bit of a rebellion there. In some ways, that story is a remix on the story of Adam and Eve. The eating of the forbidden fruit, that if they ate it, they would become like God. It's like, let me take it. I will become like God. There's something of that happening. Today's story is the reversal. This is not man saying, I will climb up to God, but rather in the dream, God is coming down to him. He sees this stairway where the angels of God are descending and ascending. Now, this idea will carry over, especially to the Jewish spirituality of the temple being this place where God dwelt, and they saw that this dream of Jacob, this great stairway, was the stairway. There was a grand staircase that you would climb to get into the temple in Jerusalem, much later historically than this. And some of those stairs are still there in Jerusalem, and it would be this thing with the spirituality of the Jews. You always went up to Jerusalem, and you always went up to the temple, and you always went up to the holy place. So kind of this idea of, higher up. We have a similar notion in the construction of many Catholic churches where the sanctuary, where the altar and tabernacle are often at least 3 stairs up for the holy, 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 if not even more. So this kind of notion of going up. Now, here's where it gets interesting. In the Gospel of John, Jesus reinterprets the dream of Jacob as himself. He says, you will see the Son of Man, and you will see the angels of God ascending and descending upon him. So with the coming of Jesus, it's no longer a place that you have to go to, rather a person that you have a relationship with. Jesus, who is true God. He is everything that the temple was supposed to symbolize. So Jesus himself is that stairway, that connection. He descends to heaven in the incarnation, and he ascends back to heaven at the ascension. And he says, when I am lifted up, I will draw all to myself. This happens especially at every Mass. We are lifted up. There's that prayer, lift up your hearts. We're lifting up to the Lord, and then the raising of the host in the chalice. There's this upward motion that's part of the liturgy. It's so deeply biblical and beautiful that we no longer have to travel to Jerusalem to find God's house, but rather every Catholic church and Orthodox church, the altar, the tabernacle, the presence of the Lord, this place in the liturgy where we are united and drawn into and elevated by Jesus. And it was kind of predicted and prophesied by this dream of the patriarch Jacob. Isn't that interesting? And so on this little sleepy Monday, we give thanks to the Lord, that he came to us, he comes to us, and that he is gathering and drawing us and elevating us in his own elevation. Amen.